Hello, and welcome to another edition of Mr. Chappell's Chemistry Screencasts. Today, we're going to learn about converting units. What you'll learn today is how to convert units within the SI system. And you'll also learn how to convert units that are outside the SI system. Now, there are a couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need a calculator, and you're going to need a list of some common conversion factors. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's a set of 4 problems, and the first one we're being asked to convert nanometers to meters, and I happen to know what the relationship for that is, so we can do that in one step. So for my unit map, I'm just going to have one step, and the relationship between nanometers and meters, let me spell meters here. Okay, here are 4 problems, and the first one we're being asked to convert nanometers to meters, and if I am not mistaken, I think we can do that in one step. And the relationship between nanometers and meters is for every 10 to the power of 9, that's a billion nanometers, you're going to get 1 meter. So just one step. So my first thing that I need to do is write the original measurement over 1. So that's 5.5 times 10 to the power of 8, and that's nanometers. Put it all over 1. And for each relationship, I'm going to write 1 fraction bar. And I want nanometers to cancel and replace with meters, and the relationship is for every 10 to the power of 9 meters there is 1 meter. Let me go ahead and cancel the units, and they do cancel. I'm left with the unit which is meters, which is what I'm looking for, and I get 0.55 meters for my final answer. And I need to stop and look at sig figs, and we started with 2 significant figures and we're ending with 2 sig figs, so that is as far as I need to take it. Okay, for the second one, I'm being asked to convert between liters and milliliters. So I believe that's another one we can do in one step. And the relationship is for every 1 liter there are 1,000 milliliters. So again, I take my original measurement and put it all over 1. And I'm going to do this in one step, so I need 1 fraction bar. I write the liter unit so that it cancels. And I want milliliters to stick around. And for every 1 liter, I get 1,000 milliliters. Now I go ahead and cancel the units, and you'll see the only unit left standing is milliliters, which is what I'm after. And the final answer ends up being 2.5 times 10 to the power of 4, and that is in milliliters. Okay, I need to stop and check significant figures, and I'm starting with 2, and I am ending with 2, so that is good to go. Okay, for the third one, now this one's a little bit more complicated. I'm not inside the SI system, so I'm going to need to look up some relationship between pounds and grams. But when you do, you will find that you can certainly do that in one step. So it's not terribly a big deal. So I'm going to go from pounds to grams. And I believe the relationship is for every 1 pound, there's going to be 453 grams. So I take my original measurement, which is 15 pounds, put it all over 1, and we're going to do this in one step. And I want pounds to cancel and replace with grams. And for every 1 pound, we said we had 453 grams. I go ahead and cancel the units. And the final answer is, it's going to be a big number. 689 gram, blah, 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 grams. And now I need to stop and look at significant figures. And you notice I'm starting with 2. So that means in my final answer, I'm only allowed 2. Oh, excuse my faux pas. This number right here is supposed to be a 4. And so I'm only allowed the first 2 digits. So I'm going to go ahead and write that as 6800 grams. And that's the final answer with the correct number of significant figures. Okay, for the next one, this is also outside the metric system, and we're being asked to go from milliliters, let's stick with the green color here, milliliters to quarts. And you might have to hunt around a little bit for the relationship between the two, but I think you will find that it's for every 946 milliliters, you're going to get 1 quart. So a quart's just a little shy of a liter. So I take the original measurement, which is 25 milliliters, and I go ahead and put it over 1. And I want milliliters to cancel, replaced with quarts. And our relationship says for every 1 quart there is 946 grams. Now I go ahead and cancel the units. And my answer ends up being, let's see what I get here, 0.0264 blah 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 quarts. Okay, and I need to stop and consider significant figures. I'm starting with 2, so I'm only allowed 2 in my final answer. So I'm going to write that as 0.026 quarts and stop it there. And that is the final answer for that problem. Our last 2 problems, and these ones are a little bit more complicated, but not by much. And these both require more than 1 step. Okay, for the first one, we're being asked to go from kilograms to centigrams. And, well, you know, I happen to know what the relationship is off the top of my head, but that's because I don't have a life. Might be easier if you do this in 2 steps. So let's go from kilograms, and let's knock off that metric prefix, and then go from grams to centigrams. And for the first relationship, if I'm not mistaken, for every 1 kilogram, you're going to get 1,000 grams. And for every 1 gram, you're going to get 100 centigrams. Okay, so what I need to do is take my original measurement, which is 0.015. Go ahead and put it all over 1. And I'm going to do this in 2 steps. And the first step, I want kilograms to cancel, replace with grams. And then I want grams to cancel, replace with centigrams. And now I go ahead and fill in the number, and for every 1 kilogram we get 1,000 grams. And for every 1 gram we get 100 centigrams. Let's just go ahead and cancel the units. Kilograms cancel, grams cancel, and we're left with centigrams, so we should get the right answer. So you just go ahead and plug that into your calculator, and the final answer ends up being 1,500 centigrams, which seems just about right. Let's stop and think about sig figs. We're starting with 2, and if you notice, we're ending with 2. So that's all we need to do. That's the final answer. Okay, for this last one, we have 2 dissimilar types of units. We have a length unit and we have a time unit, so we're going to have to do them separately. So let's do the length unit first. We're going to go from miles to meters. And then for the next one, let's go from hours to minutes and minutes to seconds. Do that in 2 steps rather than 1. And the relationship between miles and meters is for every 1 mile, you're going to get 1,609 meters. And let's see, for every 1 hour, you're going to get 60 minutes. And for every 1 minute, you're going to get 60 seconds. So this is going to be a 3-step conversion, and they usually don't get any more difficult than this. So I'm going to go ahead and write down the original measurement, which is 35. Let me get the right color here. 35. And that's miles per hour. And notice I'm writing it so that I'm very clear that that hour is actually a downstairs unit. Okay, I'm going to do this in 1, 2, 3 steps. And for the first step, let's go from miles to meters. And if I want, I can go ahead and fill in the numbers now. I want hours to cancel, and it's downstairs in the original measurement, so that means I'm going to need it upstairs here. And hours is going to convert to minutes. And now to get the minutes to cancel, put minutes upstairs, and then finally we go to seconds. And let's see, for every 1 hour we get 60 minutes, and for every 1 minute we get 60 seconds. And let's go ahead and cancel the units. Whoops, step too far there. And let's see, hours cancel here, minutes cancels here, and you'll notice that the only unit left standing is meters per second. So I should be getting the right answer, and my calculator gives me 15.64, and it goes on and on and on. That's meters per second. And let's stop and consider significant figures. We're starting with 2. We're only allowed 2. So I'm going to write that as 16 meters per second for my final answer. And that's how you do it. And that concludes this lesson. Okay, it's joke time once again. Hey, did you hear about the guy who had his entire left side cut off? He's all right now.